everyone, welcome back. In this video, I'll explain how the data moves from a model to a template in Django. We already know that a model stores the data in the database and the template displays it on the web page. So we are going to take an example of a blogging application. We'll use a model form to create a blog post form, save the data, and display the posts on a page. Although we already have done this kind of example in the previous video as well, but in this video we will be doing the same in detail. So let's get started. Okay, so first step is to create a model. We are going to create a model with the name blog post models.model. Let's consider three fields: title, models.char field, max length, let it be 50. And we are going to have the description of the post, to which we have given the name as post. Models.char field, max length as, let's say, 500. And let's also set this one to a default value. Let it be an empty string. And we also need a very interesting field, that is a thumbnail. So yes, we are also going to upload an image in this. So we have image field for this, and we need to use upload to images. So automatically when the image is uploaded, it will be created inside a folder. Means a folder, a directory named images will be created, inside which the image will be saved after uploading. We also need null equals to true, like just in case if the image is not available, so your database has to accept, means your table has to accept null values. And also we also need blank equals to true. Why? Because so that your form is also able to accept null values or blank values. Finally, we need to return the string as str self and return self dot title. There seems a little mistake over here, so this is capital F. Okay, so now we are good to go with creation of this model. So at this particular window, I have already executed the server, and in this terminal I'm going to run python manage.py make migrations. So so this is our migration file. Now we are going to migrate our table. It has been migrated. Now you can check the changes. So a blog post table has been created without any problem. Now our next step is creation of a blog post, which can be done via a form. So for this, we will be creating our model form inside forms.py. So all you have to do is very simple. Import your model from .models from .models import your blog post model class blog post the name that I'm taking is blog post form forms.model form and create class meta where the model is equal to the blog post. And yes, we need to use all the fields. So let's use underscore, underscore, all, underscore, underscore. So our form is ready. Let's now quickly create a function to save the data through the blog post form. So let's use from.forms import the blog post form, create the function. Let's say insert blog post, request So let's create a variable as blog post created. We will set it to false. We need this as just a confirmation that a blog post is created. So initially it is set to false. Now if the request dot method is double equal to a post method, so already we know we have to use a post method and create the instance of the form as blog post form pass the parameters request.post, and we also need request.files in order to upload the images, because we will be uploading files in this. That's why we need request.files. Now just check that if form dot is valid, is underscore valid. You can save your form dot save, and also set your blog created variable to true. And now you can come inside the post method, means we are now inside the get method because we are using else. Create the instance blog post form without passing any parameters and return render request. And we also need an HTML file. We are going to create an HTML file with the name insert blogpost.html, right? And also pass a dictionary containing form key here, whose value is the form instance. Finally, also we have to pass the variable that is blog post created, you can have it blog post here, and here also blog post underscore created, whose value is blog post underscore created. And here too we need to change, let it be blog post underscore created. Let's make a change in this. This was supposed to come here. Okay, so that's nice. Now we are good to go with creating and insert blog post form.html. Create a file, insert blog post.html. Let's quickly write down the code for the form. So we can have a title here, create blog post. We're going to have a form tag with method as post method. We also need to use the ENC type, that is the encryption type, as multi-part form data. So exactly why do we need it? Because this will be requiring the file uploads. This will ensure that the form data that includes the files is sent properly to the server. And we are going to use the CSRF token Also, you have to render the form dot as a paragraph. Use the input type equals to submit, value equals to create blog, create blog post or create blog, whatever you can have. And then we are also going to check if the blog post underscore created means if this variable sets to true, then we should have a message blog post created successfully. So I think it's perfectly fine now. Now let's create a URL as path insert blog post. Call the function insert blog post. So our server is running, yes. So let's go to insert blog post. I'll just mention a demo title, a demo description, and an image that I'm going to choose from my system. So I have this image. Let's create the blog. And yes, blog post created successfully. Let's check our SQLite for confirmation. So you can see very clearly in the thumbnail field, in the thumbnail column, you're able to see the path. Now, where does exactly this image go? This images folder is created inside your My Project, and your image is uploaded in this particular directory. We are already done with saving the data in the blog post table. Now we have to fetch this data onto the template. So to make sure that we have a complete knowledge of retrieval of data to the template, now we are going to import our model. From .models, import the blog post model. Create the function as blog posts. Blog posts request. Create a variable that holds all the blog post data. So we'll be using blog posts dot objects dot all, and then return render request. We also need an HTML file for the same. We need blog posts.html. Now we are going to create this and use the dictionary. We have to share this key posts whose value is the posts variable. So let's quickly create a template with the name blogposts.html. For showing these blog posts, we have to use the template tags for post in the posts variable that we just created. So what we are going to do is we are going to retrieve this, let's say inside an h2 tag as post dot title. So a single item is what? It's the post. Post dot title. Then we are going to have the paragraph where we are going to fetch the description, that is post dot post. And finally the image. We are going to check that if thumbnail really exists. So if post dot thumbnail, and if, then use the image tag. Source will be post dot thumbnail dot URL. This is in order to fetch that image, and mention a fixed height or width. Let it be 100. Width also we are going to keep it as 100. Let's create the URL for the same as path blog posts. Call the function views dot blog posts. Okay, so right, it's working fine. Now we can change this one to blog posts. Right, so you can see that we already have fetched the data. Let's insert a few more. Demo title, I write here 2, demo description 2, and let me fetch anyhow the same image once again. Create the blog, and now once again you will go back to the blog posts, and so you are able to get all the data here on the template. But you can see that the images are not being fetched properly. For this, you have to open the urls.py of your project, and we need to make a few changes here. So first of all, we need import statements from django.conf, import the settings from django.conf.urls.static, import static, and you need to concatenate it with this URL patterns, the list. You need to concatenate it with static. I'm going to explain what is it. Settings dot media underscore URL document underscore root equals to settings dot, you will actually find this in the documentation as well, media underscore root. There's a little mistake over here, it's media URL. So let's understand. The settings.media URL, this URL path, this is the path where media files can be accessed. And settings.media root is the directory on the server where the media files are stored, while the static is just a helper function from this django.conf.urls.static. So this configures the Django to serve the media files in the development. And finally, you also have to make sure that in the settings.py, your debug should be set to true. So let's have a look. As you can see, the images are now visible without any problem. Now, what is our next step? What we have to do is, we might have a large amount of data. So what if we try to click on a particular, let's say we only show the title. Now, when the user clicks on the title, it takes the user to a different template where the complete description along with the thumbnail image will be shown. Let's now create another function that will fetch a single blog post. So let's write, I'm going to create a function with the name blog post detail use request, and since you will be fetching a particular blog post, you need to pass an ID. Create a variable as post, use the blog post model, and you need to fetch a particular ID where I'll be mentioning the primary key as ID, and then return render request we again need an HTML file. It will be blog post underscore detail dot HTML and share the single post in the dictionary. So now we will be creating a template with the name blog post detail.html, blog post underscore detail.html. Let's fetch the single blog post. We will have some HTML code in this. So whose title will be equivalent to whatsoever is the title of that particular post. So the variable used is post, and we are fetching the title from that. Let's use an h2 tag to fetch the single post title, post.title. Let's have a paragraph as post dot post, and I can easily use the code which is written over here. I can now remove it from here. We don't even need this description, so I'll just keep it simple. Only the title will be visible, and this thing will come over here. Okay, so let's come to the urls.py and create one path for the single blog post. Let it be only blog post slash, we are going to use the integer int id views dot blog post underscore detail. All right, so let's check if this works. Okay, we need to run the server. Blog detail, it is need to check the function, it's blog detail. Let me just change it here. It's blog post underscore detail. Right, we are good to go again. But first of all, we won't be clicking it here. Let's manually check by passing an ID. Blog post slash, I'm going to pass ID 1. So yeah, it is doing it. And then ID 2. I believe ID 3 doesn't exist because we already have included just only 2 posts, 2 blog posts. Now, when we get back to the blog posts, you see that only the titles are visible. So let's make them as hyperlinks. It will be great, first of all, if we give names to our paths as blog posts and give this one name as blog post detail, blog post underscore detail. Now you can open the blog posts.html and just make a hyperlink, a href. Your post.title will come inside this hyperlink. We need to set this one to URL because now we have to fetch the single blog post. Means whatsoever you have clicked on, same is going to be fetched. You will be using blog post underscore detail, and also you need to pass the ID, that is post.id. So let's check. You need to go to the blog posts. Yes, the hyperlinks are there, and you can easily see that we are able to click and that particular blog post is now visible. Now, if you want, you can also create a back button, a back hyperlink we can create, where just in case if you're already on a page of a single blog post, you can always go back to the previous page, or you can create a back button maybe for creation of the blog post. So any kind of customization is possible. So let's say if I create here back to all posts, right? Let's check if this is visible. Demo title, back to all posts. So that's how we can use the Django model forms to handle the form submissions and display data in the templates. We created a blog post form, saved the data, and showed the posts on a web page. I hope this was helpful. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next one.